Welcome aboard.
What's more terrifying, being hunted by a great white shark or by a human who thinks he's one? Dangerous Animals, 2025, doesn't just ask that question, it forces you to live through it. Set against the backdrop of sun-soaked beaches and crystal-clear waters, this brutal summer horror flick dives headfirst into a nightmare scenario where paradise becomes a trap and survival is far from guaranteed. In a twisted blend of serial killer thriller and nature run-amok terror, Dangerous Animals turns a simple shark cage tour into a bloody descent into madness. Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. Today, we're breaking down everything from the sick mind of Bruce Tucker and the horrifying depths of his shark obsession to the unthinkable lengths Zephyr goes to just to survive. And yes, we'll explain that final twist, the fate of Moses, and the moment the real dangerous animal gets exactly what he deserves. Buckle up, because this ending is a feeding frenzy you won't forget. Bruce Tucker, the shark whisperer from hell. At first glance, Bruce Tucker is just your average guy running a local swim with the sharks experience. Tourists love him. He's charismatic, friendly, and seems like he genuinely enjoys helping people face their fears. But look a little closer, and there's a flicker of something off, something unhinged. When two young tourists, Heather and her friend, ask about going shark diving, he lights up a little too much, especially after hearing that no one knows where they are. That's your first red flag. Heather's hesitant about the locked underwater cage, but Tucker talks her into it. And for a brief moment, everything seems magical. She's conquered her fear, but that relief vanishes the second she climbs back on the boat and sees her friend get stabbed. Just like that. One quick moment and Heather's now alone, screaming in open water. So who exactly is Bruce Tucker, and why does he do this? Inside the mind of a killer. Bruce Tucker's past is never fully explored, but we get enough to paint a terrifying picture. As a child, he survived a shark attack that should have killed him. That brush with death messed him up. He became obsessed with sharks, with power, and with the idea that he was chosen, spared for a reason. In his twisted worldview, he was now the apex predator, not the sharks, not anyone else. Him and his victims, mostly women, he kidnapped them, kept them in captivity, tortured them mentally and physically. And when they were completely broken, he fed them to the sharks. To him, it wasn't murder, it was sacrifice, a divine offering. He thought he was doing God's work, that by feeding the sharks, he was keeping people on land safe from attacks. He believed the bloodshed was necessary. Of course, none of this is real. It's a delusion, built on trauma and control, but that's how Bruce justified it all. And let's not forget, this man documented every kill. Torture videos, hair samples, catalog trophies. He watched those tapes while eating dinner like it was Netflix. He even had preferences about the camera he used, hinting that maybe he was once filmed, perhaps abused, as a child. And this was his twisted way of reclaiming that power.
I need help.
She's already in the boat.
Zephyr and Heather, prisoners at sea. After Heather is taken captive, we meet Zephyr, our second lead and maybe the film's most surprising character. Zephyr's a surfer with a rough past. She's street smart, fiercely independent, and doesn't trust anyone. So when she meets Tucker on the beach and accepts his offer to borrow some surfing fins, it feels out of character. But hey, even the most cautious person can have a moment of trust. That moment nearly costs her life. Tucker kidnaps her and locks her in a cabin on his boat, right next to Heather. The two form a quick bond, one forged in fear and desperation. Zephyr reveals she's been to juvenile prison, knows how to unlock cuffs, and even uses Heather's bikini underwire to try and escape. It's a clever move, but Tucker figures it out. He drugs them, disables their tools, and waits. And when he finally makes his move, he does it in the most sadistic way possible, forcing Zephyr to watch Heather die, dangling her from a crane, filming the moment, feeding her to the sharks. It's pure horror. Heather's death hits hard, not just because of the gore, but because she almost made it. She trusted someone, opened up to a stranger, and paid with her life.
She's already in the boat.
Enter Moses, the unexpected hero. Now let's talk about Moses. He's a bit of a wild card. The night before Zephyr goes missing, she spends the evening with him. They click. There's chemistry. But true to Zephyr's nature, she doesn't let her guard down easily. She insists on staying in her van instead of going back to his place. Moses doesn't push. He respects her space. But when she disappears, something doesn't sit right with him. Her van is still parked on the beach. Her surfboard is abandoned. That's not normal. So he investigates. Moses checks beach surveillance footage and spots Tucker's van driving by Zephyr's last known location. Red flag. He tries to call Tucker. No response. So he does what any good final boy would do. He goes to Tucker's boat. Tucker, conveniently off buying a new camera, leaves the boat unattended. Moses hears muffled screams, finds Zephyr, and tries to rescue her. But before he can free her, Tucker returns. Things spiral. Tucker attacks. Moses fights back. But in a brutal twist, Tucker's neighbor, an old man, joins the scene and knocks Moses out. He thinks he's helping a friend until he hears Zephyr screaming. Then he realizes the truth. Tucker kills the old man with an axe and locks Moses up with Zephyr. Now they're both trapped. Tucker's final act of madness. By this point, Tucker's unraveling. His fuel is low. His victims are multiplying. He knows it's all slipping away, but instead of retreating, he doubles down. He straps Moses to the crane, intending to feed him to the sharks next. Zephyr warns him. Moses isn't like the others. People will come looking for him, but Tucker doesn't care. When Moses is lowered into the water, the sharks don't attack. Zephyr had told him to stay still, and it works. Tucker, frustrated, pulls him back and stabs him, hoping the blood will lure the predators. That's when a helicopter appears. Tucker panics. He delays the kill, but not for long.
Where's Sharks?
Zephyr's brutal escape and the final showdown. With Moses bleeding out, Zephyr knows time is running out. She has to escape. So she does the unthinkable. First, she tries to dislocate her thumb to slip out of the cuffs. When that doesn't work, she bites off her own thumb. It's grotesque, it's painful, but it works. She breaks free, traps Tucker in the cabin, but he escapes through a back door. He chases her again, and in a last-ditch effort, she jumps into the ocean. Despite the bleeding, despite the sharks, she risks it all for freedom. She swims to a nearby island. She almost makes it until Tucker grabs her again. He drags her back, suspends her from the crane, and prepares for the grand finale. He compares her to a marlin, a fighter, but reminds her that no fish escapes the hook. Just then, a massive shark appears. Tucker's giddy. He starts filming, but the shark doesn't attack Zephyr. Instead, she attacks Tucker. She grabs the gaff, the retractable hook Tucker used to control the sharks, and pierces it through his chest. He stumbles, falls into the water, and finally, poetic justice. The shark devours him whole.
Welcome aboard.
The bloody beginning of a love story. As satisfying as Tucker's death is, Zephyr's still not safe. The gaff rope pulls her into the water along with him, but she survives. Barely. She drags herself back onto the boat and finds Moses. Barely alive. She lights an emergency flare and a passing cruise ship sees it. In the final moments, Zephyr cradles Moses and confesses her feelings. For someone who's lived their whole life with walls up, it's a vulnerable moment. She always thought she had nothing to live for, but now she has Moses. And as she says it, he opens his eyes. He's alive. The horror is over. And for once, a horror movie ends not just with blood, but with hope. Our Nerdy Thoughts Dangerous Animals might not be the smartest horror movie of the year, but it doesn't need to be. It's visceral, brutal, and emotionally raw. Bruce Tucker is one of the more terrifying villains we've seen in recent years. Not because he's a supernatural monster, but because he's human, real, believable. And Zephyr, she's the heart of the film, a survivor in every sense. So what did you think of Dangerous Animals? Did the shark versus serial killer setup work for you? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into horror. Until next time, stay safe, stay smart, and beware of dangerous animals.
I'm nothing like you.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.